What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Wales, New Jersey, back again for another UFC Fight Night preview. Cannonier versus Borralho this Saturday night from the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. Here are 3 fights that I'm looking forward to watching. Let's check it out. Alright, the prelims kick off at 7 p.m. East Coast time. And we start off, the first fight of the night is Wang Kong versus Victoria Leonard. Then we got Zigomanis Ramasaka versus Nathan Fletcher. Then Jacqueline Cavalcanti versus Jocelyn Nunes. Vyacheslav Borashchev versus James Lontop. Zachary Reese versus Jose Daniel Medina. Dennis Bazukcha versus Francis Marshall. Then we get to the main card. Edmund Shabazian versus Gerald Meerschaert. And then this is one I got my eye on. Neil Magny versus Michael Morales. Michael Morales is 16-0. Neil Magny is 29-12. Neil Magny is a longtime veteran of the UFC. Started back in the UFC way back in 2012. 2012 he was on the Ultimate Fighter season 16. He's had a bit of an up and down career, pretty much a win-loss. Back in 2014 went on a nice streak, had a loss, and then recently he's been kind of the gatekeeper with a win-loss, with his last win coming against Mike Malott, and then before that he lost to Ian Gary. He is facing Michael Morales, who is 16-0 in his professional career, 4-0 in the UFC, with his past 4 wins coming against Jake Matthews, Max Griffin, Adam Fugit, and Trevin Giles. This should be a good matchup here. This is almost like the old guard versus the new guard in the UFC. Michael Morales has been on a tear. He's beaten some tough competition, and I expect him to keep trending upwards in the UFC. But yet again, it could be Neil Magny could be the gatekeeper here, being such an experienced fighter that he is. This is a tough matchup for Morales. Looking forward to this. And up next, Australia's Khan Offley versus Brazil's Marion Santos for the Ultimate Fighter Season 32 finale. This has been a good season of the Ultimate Fighter. I've enjoyed this. 12 different fighters representing their home nations from all different parts of the world. Khan Offley got his first win in the quarterfinals against Nathan Fletcher by unanimous decision. Went on to the semifinals to beat Rody Rhodes by a quick submission in the first round. Marion Santos beat Edwin Cooper Jr. by split decision in the quarters. Went on to the semis to defeat Guillermo Torres by unanimous decision. So this will be for a contract in the featherweight division in the UFC. Up next, Ryan Loder versus Robert Valentin. This is for the middleweight contract, the middleweight finale of the Ultimate Fighter. Ryan Loden, he had a pretty impressive performance. In his first fight, he beat Tom Theocaris by submission in round 1. In his second fight in the semifinals, he went the distance and got the unanimous decision over Omran Shaban. Now this guy, Robert Valentin, this guy has looked super impressive. His first fight in the quarters, he beat Giannis Bakar by first round TKO. Then went on into the semifinals and beat Paddy McCrory by first round submission. This guy was so good, so knowledgeable, that Alexa Grasso put him on the coaching staff to help the other fighters and prepare for their fights and train them. This guy, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this guy does in the UFC. If there's anything to tell from the Ultimate Fighter, I think this guy is gonna have a long career in the UFC. Very impressive fighter. And then we get to the co-main event of the evening. Number 9 ranked Angela Hill versus number 11th ranked Tabitha Ricci. And after that, the main event of the evening, Jared Cannonier versus Caio Borralho. Caio Borralho is 6-0 in the UFC with his most recent win coming against Paul Craig, also against Abus Magomedov, Michel Osheshuk, Mohamed Muradov, Armen Petruccier, and Gadzai. I don't know how to say that. But he's fighting out of the Fighting Nerds Combat Club in Sao Paulo, Brazil. These guys have been producing some absolute killers in the UFC recently. Most notable this past weekend, Carlos Prates, who knocked out Li Jingliang, who had never been knocked out before. Other notable fighters are Mauricio Ruffi, John Silva, Thiago Moraes, and Bruno Brazil. He's, like I said, 6-0 in the UFC with also 2 wins coming on Dana White's Contender Series. He is on a path to a title shot, but he is coming up against Jared Cannonier, fighting out of the MMA Lab in Glendale, Arizona. But Jared Cannonier is 40 years old, so he is a little bit old for a mixed martial artist, especially a UFC mixed martial artist. But he is 10-7 in the UFC with his last performance, which was a loss against Nuradim Imanov. Does have wins over Marvin Vettori and a notable win over former champion Sean Strickland. Also, it did lose to Israel Adesanya, beat Derek Brunson, Kelvin Gastelum, lost to Robert Whittaker, beat Jack Manson, Anderson Silva, David Branch, and so on. But this is another one of those fights where it's the young up-and-comer versus the old-school veteran. Cannonier is ranked considerably higher than Borralho, but again, the odds makers have it for Borralho. But again, this could be a passing of the torch here, or it could be Jared Cannonier could be the gatekeeper and be like, not on my watch kind of a deal thing. So, good main event here. Borralho is a -230 favorite. Jared Cannonier is a +190 underdog. Good scrap here on Saturday night. Should be some good fights. As always, guys, enjoy the fights, don't drink or drive, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.